Okay, so let me get this screen turned on for you real quick. So what we're going to go over today is the rotation orders and the joint orientation. I suspect most of these are going to be fine just how they are, but the ones we want to check are to make sure that we got the rotation order set correctly on is going to be the wing, shoulder, and the hip. And that's probably the only two I'm even going to bother checking. So I'm going to select the hip and press Control A. I'm going to switch to my rotate tool, and I'm in gimbal mode. Right now it's the most common movement for the bird is going to be forward and back, so that's Z. And I can see the other two axes move with it, that's good. And the next most common movement is going to be in and out. And the x-axis is moving with it, so that's good. And lastly, we have a twist in X, and it's the grandchild, so that appears to be good. So I actually don't need to change the rotation order there. But now select the shoulder, or the first wing joint, and see how this works. So the most common axes in this one is going to be the up and down of the wing. And that's a Z. So we may get lucky here, guys, and not have to change any rotation orders, but we should at least verify that. Okay, the next most common is going to be the forward and back, and that controls the X axes. That's good. And we can rotate the wing on X, and that appears to be good. So we don't have any rotations to rotate orders to change. But now we need to go through and start checking our joint orients. So we go to component mode and check the question mark in the status bar or status line so that we can see the joint orients. And I created the joints in a specific order on purpose, because if a single joint has more than one child to it, then it's going to orient itself to its first child. Okay? Instead of using one of its siblings. So let's take a look at this. Lots of joints. So I need to do some renaming, actually. I forgot to do that last night. So here's the hip. It's going to orient itself to its first child, which is joint 2 in this case. But it has other children. You know, joint 19 is a child. Joint 33 is also a child. But it's going to point to its first child. So that's important to note, and you can use that to your advantage when it's orienting joints. So that what I mean orient to its child, it means that the x-axis is going to point, in this case, to joint 2. Joint 1's x-axis is going to point to joint 2. Okay. So switch back into component mode here. And I've got X pointing straight forward, Y is pointing up. That's good. And then I got the root of the neck. It's starting to point up the neck. That's good. I got all these Z's on the neck pointing out the same direction. That's good, but they're pointing out the opposite direction of the body. So I'll have to think about that, whether that's good or not. Let me close this alert real quick. And then up here at the top, it gets kind of convoluted, right? So we need to fix these. So the easiest way I like to fix these is you could go and try to orient it with the skeleton orient joint tool. Go to the options box. And you could try to use this. We've already gone over this on how to use this, so I'm not going to do it that way. That's not really my preferred method anyhow. I'm just going to select this, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees with the mel command. Rotate in X 180 degrees. 0, 0, semicolon, and there we are. Okay. So now it points out the same direction as the rest of the neck. So in fact, I could do that to, I want to do that to this one also. And we go ahead and do it to the eyes one. And I guess we might as well do it to the jaw. And the eyeball. Okay, so now I can just press up in the mel command line, and it'll bring back the last command that I typed. Press enter, and they all swap to the other side, and now we got Z's pointing out all the same side. Okay. I'm still not certain what I think about this, the spine being opposite. I think I'm going to change these. So it's kind of going around, snaking around now, instead of swapping around. Okay. Now the tail is all kinds of confused, it appears. So let's rotate the cog joint. I'm going to try to clean this up just a touch by restricting my selection. And let's see, we have Z on the same side. X is down chain. This is just a tip joint. It's oriented to the world. I'm not too concerned about that. Tip joints really aren't a concern most of the time, just so you guys know. Meaning that it's the end of the chain. Sometimes you just have to grab the joints and see if you like how it reacts. And you got to do it in comparison to other joints. So if I grab all these, minus this one, and rotate it back. Now I think if I was going to do this, I don't want the tail to counter rotate. I think I'd probably like it to come up instead. And that's just maybe a personal preference. So I'm not saying that's right, but I think that's how I want to do it.